Master Anatomy and Physiology with Indramani Pandey.
Welcome back, guys. This is the lecture about body directions, regions, and the planes. In previous lecture, we tried to cover today's topic, but due to the time management, we couldn't cover that because the homeostasis was a huge topic to cover, and we discussed briefly about homeostasis in last lecture. But today I'm gonna cover body directions, regions, and planes. I'll mention some anatomical terms that we will face during this course. Let me start with a question. Why it is important to have these types of knowledge? To assess the problem, to find what's going on in your body. And for example, before we dive into the body directions, regions, and planes, we need to understand the anatomical position, how you're standing. Okay, if you are not in the anatomical position, you will not understand, okay, the directions, planes, and the regions of the body. Even if you understand those terms, you cannot relate one organ with another one. For example, the relationship between heart and the lungs. Okay, how can you relate those two organs depending on the direction, depending on the planes, and depending upon the regions of the body? That's why it is very important. What is anatomical position first? The anatomical position is standing upright, feet together or slightly apart from each other. But you should look forward. Okay, for example, you're looking something distant object. Your eyes should go like toward the distant object. Your palms of the hands face forward. Remember, toes pointing forward, thumb turned 90-degree perpendicular to the pads of the finger. You need to understand those things. Now, after that, directional terms. We will mention different directional terms in this lecture. We will focus on superior, inferior. We're gonna focus proximal, distal, deep, intermediate, superficial, okay, and so on. And I'll mention those in few moments. Then we'll cover some anatomical planes like coronal planes, sagittal planes, transverse planes, and so on. And we will discuss some regional terms like head, neck, trunk in the case of axial. On the appendicular, you will talk about appendages. Okay? Then we will talk a little bit about the regions of the body, but we will focus those regions of the body briefly in my next video. Let's dive into today's topic. Let's start with the anatomical position. As I told you, the anatomical position is you looking forward straight. Your thumb right here, it should be 90-degree, okay, to the pads of the finger. Okay, here this is 90-degree. Your body should be erect. You cannot twist your body during anatomical position. Remember that palms are facing forward, okay, and you're looking straight toward the distant object. I did not draw the lower part, but you need to understand that feet should be together and you should stand upright. You cannot sit and say I'm in anatomical position. If someone said what is anatomical position is, you should say you should be in standing position. Okay, your feet should be together, face looking forward, palms of the thumb should face forward, and thumb should be 90-degree to the pads of the finger. Toes should pointing forward. Okay, you're not doing other activities. You're not looking sides. You're just looking forward. That is the anatomical position, which I can explain from this picture. Now, then we're going to talk about some directional terms. For example, superior, which is often known as cranial, that means toward the head region. Okay, if you try to say that what is superior to which organ, you can say that. For example, like the head region is superior to the thoracic region, right? You can say that. But if you try to like be specific on the organ, for example, eyes are superior to the uterus. It is superior, right? It is like all the way through on the top. So inferior, you just like switch the word. Okay, just the inferior. Something is inferior to something. Okay, that is very important. Inferior means below. Okay, and you're gonna see anterior and posterior in the case of human being, but you may not see anterior and posterior in other organisms like cow and those type of things, like fishes, right? We use basically dorsal and ventral, but the basic idea is here anterior means basically a ventral side and the posterior means a dorsal side. Anterior, this is the front side, is anterior, the back is the dorsal side. We need to know that. For example, the sternum is anterior to the what? Spine. But the sternum is interior to the spine, but spine is dorsal to the sternum or breastbone. Okay, so that's an example. Then there is a medial. Medial means toward the mid side, toward the mid sagittal plane. I'll talk about planes just in few moments. Mid side means only this is the line which divides your body in equal parts. So toward the midline. And you will see lateral means away from the midline. Away from the midline. For example, nose is medial to the ear. Okay, but ears are lateral to the nose. So that's the example right there. Now I talk about medial and lateral. Now what is intermediate is? Intermediate, if I want to tell you what exactly is, it is very difficult to observe. Okay, intermediate means between more medial and more lateral. Okay, more medial and the more lateral structures are called intermediate structures. For example, the collarbone is intermediate between. Okay, the collarbone is intermediate between breastbone and the shoulder. Okay, so that's an example of intermediate. Now next one is proximal and distal. It depends on the origin. Okay, proximal means toward the trunk of the body. If something is proximal, the shoulder is proximal to the wrist, but wrist is distal to the shoulder. Okay, so that's an example of that. Now superficial, the skin is superficial to the skeletal muscles or other type of muscles. Deep, something is deep or inside. Okay, something is deep means inside, very deep. The heart is deep. The heart is deep. You need to dig to see that, right? So deep means very inside. Okay, so that's an example of the deep, which is internal. Superficial is external. Like for example, different layers of skin. Like if something is deeper, okay, the hypodermis is deep, right? Then the epidermis. You need to understand that thing. Now, regional terms. Regional terms we divide basically on axial and the appendicular. The axial makes the main axis of the body, while the appendicular is an appendage or limbs, which is a lower body axis. But the axial includes your neck, head, and the trunk of your body. Now, let's talk about body planes and sections. What do you mean by planes and the section? These are the imaginary lines that you can create to study the internal organs. For example, if someone says something is medial, that means you're going to look the middle side, okay, not the lateral side. So to assess the organ and its position and its relation to the other organ, you need to know the planes. Okay, different computer technologies CT scans, MRI, X-rays, these all use different sections in the planes to see the internal structure and to find out what's going on there. Okay, to assess the disease, to find out what kind of disease is there. Okay, that's why very important. So let's talk about some planes. There are basically three planes we will talk, which is sagittal plane, frontal plane, and the transverse plane. But the oblique sections is a type of plane. It's not a plane, but it's a section. What is section? When you cut something through a plane, you get a section. Okay, so that's a good logic there. So what is sagittal plane? The sagittal plane may be two types. One is mid-sagittal or median plane, and another is parasagittal. For example, if you cut your body just like this, okay, and just equal half left and the right half, right? If you cut your body like this way, what will happen is you will separate the two body parts like left and right in equal half. That is the mid-sagittal section or mid-sagittal plane. And if you cut just here from here, not the middle line, that is called parasagittal. The para refers to what? Near. The para refers to near. Okay. Now the frontal plane. What do you mean by frontal plane? Which is also called coronal plane. Okay, frontal or coronal plane. It divides the body into the half. It divides the body into the half, posterior and anterior. What does that mean? If you cut your body like this way, okay, not this way, you're cutting your body from the lateral side like this way, okay, and you will see the front of mine and the back of mine, okay. You're cutting from the like this way, okay. So this is called a coronal plane or frontal plane. Okay, this is a type of plane also. Okay, so you need to understand. Another is called transverse plane. You cut your body like a section, like slices of hamburger. You're cutting from any place you can cut your section. Okay, and to see the internal organs, it is very important. Remember the transverse plane, also known as horizontal plane. Okay, and the sections that you operate from the transverse plane are called cross section. And the oblique sections are very confusing to understand. Okay, as I told you, section means plane along which it is cut. Okay, and the oblique sections are made diagonally between the horizontal and the vertical planes. Okay, so it is important to understand that thing too. Now next is the regions of the body. I'll just mention the regions of the body here. There are like the thoracic region, and there is a abdominopelvic region where different organs located. Okay, and in abdominopelvic region there are 4 quadrants. We will mention that, and there are 9 body regions. Okay, and we will see those 9 body regions and the internal structure where you will find different types of organ, and you will list those organs. And internal organs of abdominopelvic region and the thoracic region will be covered in the next lecture. Thank you.
Please subscribe to see more videos regarding anatomy and physiology.